What is up, guys? Welcome on back to TK's Garage. And in today's video, right after I got done yesterday cutting the video and talking about how nothing was going on in the House or the Senate, and it was like these dudes were just being lazy bums, right? Or not trying to get the people's business done, the Republicans forced a vote-a-rama, basically trying to get these other people on the record. And, well, we're going to talk about that and where the Diesel Truck Liberation Act is, where funding is for Department of Homeland Security, where funding is for EPA and a bunch of other things, because all of that matters when it comes in terms of emissions and the changes that we're looking for there. So we're going to talk about all that and more right after this. Hey guys, just a quick word from the video sponsors today, Delete Me. Here's something I didn't realize until recently. You know, there are entire people search websites that list your name, phone number, address history, even your relatives, right? Anyone can access it. All it takes is a credit card. That kind of info floating around makes it way easier for scams, phishing, and other sketchy stuff to happen. And I'm not talking about somebody calling and asking you about your extended warranty. That's why I use Delete Me. They remove your personal info from hundreds of those data brokers and people search sites. And it's not a one and done thing. You can see how many sites had my info listed before Delete Me stepped in. You have it up here on the screen. Here's my report. You can see how many sites had the info. If you want to clean up what's out there on you, go to joindeleteme.com/TK Garage and use code TK Garage at checkout for 20% off. You can also use the QR code on screen. Just scan it with your phone. And link also, as always, in the description and the pinned comment. And thanks to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. So major shout out to our sponsors, Delete Me, again, for sponsoring our channel. They're a regular monthly sponsor, and we truly appreciate them. So, yeah, we cut the video last night. I talked about what was going on with the Diesel Truck Liberation Act. And then magically, the Republicans decided, it's going to be vote-a-rama time. Did anything happen? Nope. But every time they do the vote-a-rama, they go through, is they get the Democrats on the record of voting against funding for Homeland Security. This isn't about ICE or anything like that, okay? This has nothing to do with that. This has to do with, this strictly has to do with funding for Homeland Security. ICE and that agency, in terms of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, it's already funded. They're already funded through the big, beautiful bill. So them suspending funding for TSA and Homeland Security, which passes all the information about terrorism or potential threats to the country, aka the Homeland Security, is blunted. So the same thing I said yesterday still applies. If there is a massive terrorist attack here in the United States, and hundreds or thousands of people lose their lives because of the shutdown from the Department of Homeland Security, it will fall solely on the Democrats for voting against funding it. It would be different if the Republicans were trying to add, say, the SAFE Act, which they don't want to pass, or a bunch of other things into the funding for Homeland Security. They have a clean bill for Homeland Security that would fund the agency. It has nothing to do with ICE. They're already funded. They're already funded through the big, beautiful bill. So literally what the Democrats are currently doing is putting our safety as Americans at risk. Now let's get into the Diesel Truck Liberation Act. So Senator Kennedy from Louisiana was up speaking last night. They do like little 5-minute periods of speaking or debate while they're in between voting or before they call a quorum. And he said something very specific. He said, I'm putting the SAFE Act up. Vote with your conscience. Do what you want to do. I don't care one way or the other. I'm putting it up. And he was pulling back his objection for there to be no vote so that we could start getting this stuff on the record. So I applaud him for that. What he said was, I know it's not going to pass today, right? We know that it's not. We knew that it wasn't going to pass, right? And neither is any of these other agenda items. But he said, that's fine. I know it's not going to pass, so I'm going to put all of this stuff, all of these line items, one of them being the Diesel Truck Liberation Act, into a budget reconciliation bill. When it comes to budget reconciliation, they do not need one Democrat to vote. Now, they probably will get one, maybe two, and I'm talking about probably Slotkin and probably Fetterman, right, that would vote in that direction. But what I find interesting is it's the Republicans' own people that are holding even that up. And I'm talking about Mitch McConnell and I'm talking about Thom Tillis. And both of them cannot get out of the Senate fast enough. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, it's not even about doing the people's business or doing what's good for the people in their state or their district. It has to do with, let me stick it to the president. Let me stick it to Trump. That's what it is at this point. Not about what's good for my people in Kentucky, what's good for my people in North Carolina with both of these senators. They just don't care. And it's ridiculous. So, I leave the question to you. Now that we know that Kennedy and some of the other Senate leadership on the Republican side are going to put the Diesel Truck Liberation Act into budget reconciliation, are you excited for it? Because for me, it is the one bill outside of the Stop CARB Act and all these other emissions related bills. It is the one bill that forever changes the Clean Air Act and removes all mobile sources of emissions. That means boats, planes, cars. All of it gets wiped out of the Clean Air Act, okay? And it pulls away any state's authority to be able to set any rule. That means the second that the Diesel Truck Liberation Act, if in a budget reconciliation bill becomes law and the president signs it, smog checks are illegal in all 50 states. They will no longer be able to do it. It would come to an end. It's got to be the biggest racket, the biggest scam ever. I'll tell you what states are going to do, though. Virginia already does this. That's why they have state inspections, right? North Carolina does the safety inspection bullshit, too. So what they'll do is they'll say, oh, yeah, we're not checking emissions anymore. We're just making sure that your turn signals work, that your tires aren't bald, blah, 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 blah. And you're going to pay the same thing you were paying no matter what, even if you didn't have a smog check. So, but at least your car doesn't have to pass smog. So there is that. California, I've seen all the people from California like, oh, I can't wait for smog. If smog checks end tomorrow, California will find another way to rail you in the ass. And what I mean by that is they will find another way to fuck you over. They will find another way to extract money out of you. This is not a controversial thing. They're going to do it. If they lose the ability to run smog checks and do stuff with emissions, they're going to be, oh, we need carb-approved tires. We already know that they're going for carb-approved brakes. They will find a reason to use the Bureau of Automotive Repair in the state of California and the California Air Resource Board, which they'll change that agency to something else or name it something else, to do safety inspections. They're going to get their money. The only way that stops is if you vote the right Republican or the right governor in. And I say the right Republican because you have a choice between Bianco or Hilton on that side. And both of those candidates, I think, will stand on what they say they're going to do. Hilton now coming in saying that he would shut down CARB. So, they had to really push him to say that he was going to do that. So I trust Bianco more on that front. But, yeah, they're going to get their money. It's never been about the environment. It's never been about having cleaner air or cleaner water. That's all a lie. It has nothing to do with that. It literally has to do with power and money. And I'm glad that a lot of citizens are starting to wake up and see that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.